All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are now going to get into talking about Nick Chubb and where he could potentially sign. He's still one of the big name free agents left on the market, but yeah, he's still out there. Also, while I was in break, Jen will also said could be a or a fourth or fifth pick would be enough, or fourth round pick would be enough. He said it's a salary. Yeah, so I don't think it's going to be the Giants. I think they're going to maybe trade him to someone that's in a better position, that has a chance to be competitive this year. We're talking about Jalen Ramsey. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I still think he could play, right? I mean, he's not the same corner he once was back during the Saxonville days, but I think he can come in and still be a good corner for a team that's in a position to win. But back to Nick Chubb. So Chubb has been a free agent since March. Um, has not really drawn much interest, at least publicly. He is coming off of a down year. Coming back from the gruesome knee injury that he suffered back in week 2 of the 2023 season. But it was great to see him out there. But you could tell, he was rusty. He was rusty. And, he really lacked explosiveness. There was a couple of times where there was a burst, but, not nearly the player that he was before the injury. So, I mean, I'm hoping that, maybe another year removed from it, we see a better version of Nick Chubb, wherever that may be, whether he goes back to Cleveland or he goes elsewhere. I'm hoping we see that because I really do like Nick Chubb. He is I would say he's one of my favorite players in the league. Um, and this is what he said recently in an Instagram caption. He said, "They've already wrote my ending when I'm just getting started." There's workout videos of him on Instagram. So, he's still staying in shape. 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons with the Browns. Played 8 games last year. Actually, before breaking his foot, I forgot about that. He did that, I think, against the Chiefs late in the year. But yeah, not a lot of public interest from him. Now, teams could sign him, and that's what Jen Will is saying in the chat as well. They could sign him after the draft if they fail to address their running back position. And yeah, Jen Will agrees. I think either way, Chubb signs after the draft. So I guess that's what it's looking like. We could see Chubb sign with the team after the draft. I think he will end up on a team. Now, where he could end up, I did mention the Steelers. The Steelers could be a possibility. Stays within the division. They haven't really. I mean, I think they're gonna. I think they will be a team that drafts a running back. They did bring in Kenneth Gainwell, so maybe not. But if they don't, could bring in Chubb. Familiar with the division. The Chargers. They did bring in Najee Harris. So who knows? Maybe you get an AFC North combination of so you went from the Ravens backfield to now a mix of the Browns and the Steelers. You get Chubb and you get Najee Harris. The Cowboys brought in a couple of running backs in Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, and they still got some other running backs on the roster too. But maybe they bring in Chubb. They take a chance on him. Raiders could also be a possibility. I did say they could take Gentry. That's what I believe. They did bring in Mostert, but there's a chance there. The Broncos, I think, are a team. I think the Broncos will definitely take a running back at some point. They will take a running back in the draft, but Chubb could be a potential fit there. And then the other thing is the Browns. The other team is the Browns. The Browns they could bring back. They could bring back Chubb. That's really it. I don't know who else. Maybe. I don't know. The Chiefs maybe. With Pacheco struggling. They brought back Kareem Hunt though. I don't think so. Bengals brought back P. Ryan. to go along with Chase Brown. The Vikings brought back Aaron Jones. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't mind him being on the Giants. I mean, they have Tyrone Tracy, but add another running back to that room. Veteran presence there. I'd be okay with that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know who else. I'm trying to think of who else could use him. I don't really. I think every team is. I think for the most part, every team is kind of set at the running back position. I mean, I'm thinking right now about all the teams. Yeah, no, he'll find a team. So I'm guessing General, you are a Chargers fan because you said if we didn't sign Najee, would Chubb be viable? I guess. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they probably would get him on a cheap deal. I mean, look at what happened with J.K. Dobbins. They brought him in, and he dealt with a lot of injuries, and he had a very good year. And you put Chubb back there behind that offensive line. I mean, maybe that gets him going. So he says, I get it'll be run heavy with us, but having 3 running backs on good money is a bit too much. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, but it's just unfortunate what happened with Nick Chubb. It's just he was one of the best running backs in the league. And talk about consistency. You know what you're getting out of Nick Chubb each and every year. His production. And the Browns have had a lot of tough years, but he's been there. He's been the model of consistency, and the Browns started to turn things around. They did win a playoff game. Unfortunately, he was not part of the Joe Flacco magic carpet ride. He was hurt. But yeah, I'm hoping that he finds his way on a team and he gets it going next year and he looks like the Nick Chubb that we know he can be. General also said, I'm still fairly high on Kamani Vidal. Yes, I forgot about him. I think he's wearing Eckler's number now. He's wearing number 30. So you got him. They don't have Dobbins anymore, right? And I think they got rid of both. They got rid of Dobbins and they got rid of Gus Edwards. I think they got rid of both of them. Well, they didn't get rid of Dobbins. I think he was just a free agent. I think Gus Edwards they cut. So yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. But I do agree, like you said before, Jen Will, that we'll go through the draft, and then we'll kind of get a good idea of what teams want to do after the draft. Look, this is a very rich running back class, so I think you're going to see a lot of teams that need running backs. They're going to address it in the draft, and then I guess maybe for the select few that don't, or maybe not like, or are not satisfied with what they have, you could see teams reaching out to Nick Chubb and maybe bring him in. And maybe he doesn't sign after the draft. Maybe we see a scenario where, he doesn't get signed until we get to next season and, you see guys getting hurt and then a team brings him in. Which I hope not. I really hope someone brings him in Chubb. And he's still got something left. I'm a Nick Chubb believer. So, but let me know what you guys think. Where do you think Chubb potentially ends up? Let me know in the comments. Again, still one of the big names out there. There's him, there's Keenan Allen, there's Amari Cooper, and then of course there is Aaron Rodgers, who we really haven't talked about recently. Really haven't talked about him. Because we're still waiting. And hopefully he makes a decision soon. I've been saying that constantly. It hasn't happened yet. But we want to know. What is Aaron Rodgers thinking? I think he wants to play. I mean, I've been going back and forth. I think he's going to retire, and then, he goes to the Jets and, says he wants to play. So he wants to play. It's got to be the right fit. Jen Will also in the chat. I think My priority for the draft is 1, secondary, 2, receiver, 3, O-line, 4, D-line. Yeah, I don't really disagree with that. I don't really disagree with that. Um, I think maybe, I would swap O-line and D-line. I know probably because you mean the interior of the O-line, because you have the tackles. You got Slater and you drafted Joe Alt last year. Um, so yeah, the interior of the O-line. I could also see a scenario where the Chargers maybe, we talked about the rich running back class. Maybe they take one in the later rounds and add, that to the running back room with Najee Harris. I know you said they have Kamani Vidal, so maybe yeah they don't, but I could see them doing that because Harbaugh loves to run the football. So receiver, yeah, I think you could see them potentially adding a receiver as well. They did bring back Mike Williams, and Ladd McConkey had a very good rookie season. So maybe you might see them use a late round pick on. Oh yeah, that's right. You do have Becton. Yeah, they signed Becton on the interior. So yeah, maybe. So yeah, maybe you do. I think D line. Maybe you see them take somebody. I think that could be something they address. Because they did. They let go of Joey Bosa. I think you need someone else to add to that defensive line. So we'll see. We'll see. So we are going to take our final break of the show now, and then when we come back, we will do our post-free agency rankings for the AFC South. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Sports Podcast.